to this video in the background while you work, I took 5 of my older videos and mashed them up into a 30-minute operations management lecture. In this video, I will be discussing various types of character traits you should have to be a successful operations manager. Here are some real examples of risk analysis that I face. Understanding the foot traffic in your office or business to determine if you have adequate insurance. Contacting your company's attorney to update your client agreement because of a change in law. Is that new rug in the lobby a trip hazard? Who's taking care of your company's unanswered negative comments on Google or Yelp? And will that information change your company's online image? An operations manager must be able to quickly ascertain if your company is in the crosshairs of any litigation or situation that could put a negative light on the company. My definition of strategic planning is interpreting any input or information in order to make any decisions about the company and its processes. Some examples could be how to increase customer satisfaction, improving your employees' production rate, meeting the objectives of your company, and improving relationships between employees and management. And if you use an example of an employee improving on something, that would involve analyzing the input from the employee. That would involve analyzing the input from management. And then you would examine the company's processes, the employee's job description. And with the goals of the company in mind, you may decide that there are certain steps the employee needs to take in order to achieve that objective. When you think about problem solving, think about reviewing options and coming up with solutions that help resolve the issue at the company. And problem solving involves skills like conflict resolution, analysis, identifying the issue, and concise decision making, and making those decisions that are best for the company. I can give you a million examples of real life problem solving I've done, but this video would be incredibly long. As a business operations manager, you will need to speak with all types of people on all levels of education and employment every day, not just verbally, but also in writing. Remember, some communication is nonverbal, so it would be a good idea to pay attention to things like facial expressions, body language, and sound. Communication also involves being a good listener, a good negotiator. It requires patience and leadership. Decision making is one of the most important skills a business operations manager will have. And that's because a lot of business owners, especially small business owners, depend on the business operations manager to be able to make sound decisions on behalf of the company, its goals, and the employees. When can an employee take time off? Do you need temporary employees? Monitoring employee purchases and providing input on any future corporate plans. Human resources, aka people. As an operations manager, that not only includes screening applicants and counseling and tasks like that. It also includes keeping abreast of the current laws, research, ensuring that your documents are accurate and up to date, determining when new employees are needed, and determining when it's time to terminate an employee. To strengthen those staff management traits, I recommend a number of suggestions, including tools like internal job descriptions, regularly updated employee handbooks, making decisions based on facts and policies. Don't keep a favorite employee, on and on and on. Typically, an operations manager in a small business may have control of either a budget or the company's entire finances. Operations managers should, and even if you don't have control of the company's budget or finances, an operations manager should work on skills like cost management, tracking revenue, forecasting, profit and loss, and cost control. And that involves identifying and reducing expenses. In companies where I was responsible for cost control, I've even encouraged the use of digital coupons when making purchases online. Cost management. Part of cost management includes creating and monitoring budgets, driving down the cost by bidding out work, building relationships with vendors to get better pricing, estimating projects, and in some cases, reviewing financial reports. Depending on the job description, a business operations manager may have total and complete access to the company's financial situation. If that's true, I recommend immersion and self-education. For starters, learn how the company's accounting software works. Not necessarily how to perform every single function of the accounting software, but at the minimum, learn how to access it, how to log in, how to turn it on, how to access the reports that you want, how to print the report, and so on. Understand the company's debt, and is your company able to pay those debts? What is the company's profit or loss for any given period? And you don't have to know this right off the top of your head, but you should at least know how and where to find this information. What are the expenses to operate your company? Things like rent, utilities, office supplies, and so on. Pull those financial documents at a minimum on a weekly basis. Review each line item. And again, make the time for self-education. And I can't say this enough. You must understand how your company makes money and how your company spends money. Company financial statements should always be quickly and easily accessible. They should be accurate. They should be up to date. When I say accessible, I mean those financial documents should be accessible from your accounting software. If the financial reports are not up to date, if they appear to be inaccurate, or if the only time you can see a financial statement is from an Excel spreadsheet, I would say that that company has a bigger problem. When you think about company financials, people think of profit and loss and balance sheets. Part of the financials include original bank statements, original loan documents, original contracts. Any document that involves the exchange of money will help you as a business operations manager understand those company financials and how the company makes and spends money. Organizational skills involve keeping track of documents related to your company and to your employees. Knowing what's going on within the company as it relates to things like meetings, vendor information, lunches, project schedules. In a nutshell, your organizational skills in many cases reflect your style of management. Time management involves tasks that include making sure that projects are completed on time or in advance. Things like employee evaluations being completed and regularly performed, ensuring that corporate goals are being met. Time management also includes managing your schedule as the operations manager to ensure that your time is being wisely spent. I keep saying this in all my videos. Keep in mind that Especially in a small company, an operations manager is not billable in most cases. So it is up to you to make sure that your time is being spent wisely for the benefit of the company. And that includes maximizing profits and freeing the business owner up so the business owner can do other things like making the company more money. You have interpersonal skills, and those skills involve things like compassion, leadership, empathy, negotiation, self-confidence. And as an operations manager, if you develop these skills, this should help you to create those strong bonds with everyone in the company and effectively manage your teams. Leadership skills, that goes without saying. Good leaders will propel others to do better. Also, good leadership will help others contribute even more to the company. As an operations manager, you must be able to quickly shift gears and be able to adapt quickly to any changes or demands. Not only that, as an operations manager, you must motivate others to willingly adapt to those changes in order to achieve the company's objectives. Project management. And we're not talking about billion-dollar projects here. A project can be any task that you are responsible for completing. Some of the projects that I've had to manage have been moving our office from one location to another. Disaster recovery. Our building was severely damaged during Hurricane Rita. Social functions like holiday parties. Whereas I did not do the actual planning, I had to review the costs and watch the budget and look for ways to cut costs. Building repairs. One of the companies I used to work for, they owned a building, and I was responsible for various projects related to taking care of the building. Business shutdowns and owner succession plans. Inventory management. And it doesn't matter if your inventory is a fleet of jets or a box of paper clips. It is ultimately responsible for the operations manager to know what's in the company's inventory, securing that inventory, and balancing the amount of inventory that needs to be on hand versus having too much inventory sitting on the shelves. Policies, processes, and procedures. Operations managers must deploy all three of these things to, among other things, delegate tasks and ensure compliance. Yes, there are some similarities, but each is required to, at least in my opinion, each are required to ensure smooth, uninterrupted business operations. Understand a clear definition of each term, since an unclear definition may lead to confusion, slower productivity, lack of work completion, and in some cases, blaming and finger pointing, especially when objectives are not met. The policies, that's the playbook. Those are the guidelines, the rules, the regulations, the laws, the principle, or the direction that defines the company. This is where the information defines the company's scope, the company's vision. It holds all the company's rules. The company's handbook is typically where you will find the bulk of this information. Social media policies, discrimination policies. Here's the example of a policy. The company will have a fire drill once a month. When you're talking about business processes, think of it as doing a flyover. A process is an overview of how something should be completed to achieve an objective. As an example, think about your company's new hire process. You place the job online. You collect resumes for 7 days. You get those resumes and you pick a group of people for an interview. You interview the people. You narrow it down to 3 people. You take those 3 and you do a second interview. You finalize it to a candidate. You offer the job. They accept it. On and on and on. Procedures are also known as work instructions. They are the broken down processes that provide the detailed step-by-step specific tasks required to reach whatever objective your company needs to reach. Procedures are what provides uniformity as it relates to things like compliance, quality, training. An example could be ordering raw materials and accepting them in your company. Well, the truck pulls up. You jump in the truck and inspect the order while it's still on the truck. You pull out a sample. You approve the sample. You offload the order and give it a job number. Assign it a job number. On and on and on. When things don't go right, the first thing that happens is some employee is receiving some sort of disciplinary action. I advise operations managers to take a good hard look at the company's current documented policies, processes, and procedures. What's that you say? You don't have any? Well, if you don't have any now, I think it's a good idea to start developing them and documenting them and educate your employees. Again, keep in mind that these are my definitions. They may not be your definitions. There are some people that don't think that policies, processes, and procedures matter at all because they say that they're the same. In my opinion, they're not. Established policies, processes, and procedures can be the difference between a smooth running operation and one that fumbles regularly. Effectively weaving those policies and processes together result in a smoother running operation that has the ability to pivot in case key employees are absent. And that could be due to a termination or a vacation or sick time. As a business operations manager, you must understand the differences between a process, which is like an overview or a flyover, and a policy, which is like a playbook. I'm going to do an example. This is a real example. This is something that I was hired to do at a company a while back. And it had to do with a client who did not know whether or not every job performed at his company made a profit. First thing I did, I evaluated everything that the company needed to complete a job. Labor costs, administrative work, time spent in meetings. And remember, if there's 5 employees in a meeting, that's the cost times 5, depending on what those individuals make per hour. Subscriptions you have to buy. Digital storage. How long will the job have to sit in one department before it moves to the next department? All of these things need to be calculated. Then I begin to map out my strategy. Now I'm ready to begin weaving the policies and the processes. First thing I'm going to want to do is create a unique job number. So your process, remember, processes are overviews. Somehow a job number must be created for each expense. And you have to determine when that job number is going to be created and how it's going to be created. Your policy could state the following. Employees are required to affix a project's unique job number on anything associated with the project, including but not limited to reports, cash receipts, expense reports, vendor invoices, payments, etc. When you create a policy, you should also include some type of accountability. Disciplinary action will result if this policy isn't followed. Next, we're going to use purchase orders. So the process could be the accounting department will generate a purchase order on all outside expenses incurred on this job. And your procedure will be whatever it is you decide it to be. The accompanying policy would read something to this effect. Any outside vendor expenses must be approved by management in writing or in advance. Purchase orders generated by the accounting department must accompany any vendor file. Employees will be required to submit 3 written bids to management for approval, and you follow up with some sort of disciplinary action. If you don't do this, there's going to be a range of things that may happen. Now we're going to talk about entering the expenses into the accounting software, because this is the key to getting to the bottom of the business owner's problem. Am I making money or losing money on these jobs? The process would be something to the effect that once those outside expenses are connected to a purchase order, the accounting department can't or will not be able to just enter in a vendor bill. It has to be connected to a purchase order. And again, connecting purchase orders to vendor invoices is a video for another time, but those who have experience in bookkeeping should know what that involves. A connecting employment policy associated with that reads as follows. Again, this is my vision of the job moving through the company. You may have your own vision. Accounting personnel will not be allowed to enter outside vendor invoices into a system as a standalone entry. Invoices from outside vendors associated with a company project must be generated via the conversion of a purchase order within the accounting software. Any exceptions must be approved by management, on and on and on. And again, you attach a disciplinary action to that. Here's where the magic happens. What to do when the job is completed. Your process should be something to the effect that either the project manager is going to notify the accounting department that the job is finished, or the accounting department will have some type of weekly or regular cleanup of their open jobs. Somebody has to tell someone that this job is finished. Personally, for me, I determine that a job is finished when I receive the final check, the final payment from the client. One of the connecting employment policies can state that upon completion of the job, accounting is required to submit a financial report for that job only. That's why you've got the job number, to management, or management must request a report within X number of days after the job is finished. And in that report, that's where you will see all of your expenses, all of your payments, and you can determine on that last line if that job made a profit or a loss. And finally, there is supply chain management. Supply chain management relates to all of those components you need, whether they are goods or services, to get to that final product that your business sells to generate revenue.